form number will be what?
483.
482, ma'am.
482 notice of inspection.
Yeah, it will be
Yeah,
482.
482. Sorry.
Yeah, then what will be next? Quickly. So now the inspector is at the site, right? So what will be the next step?
They start auditing by reviewing the data related to the trial and study and regulatory requirements. They document the findings and they check the audits, like common observation, like protocol, non-adherence, and failure to report if they are failed to report any adverse event or the reporting related to concomitant therapy and ethics committee problem and informed consent form.
Okay, so it's like the complete entire essential documents will be checked. Yes, so they will be writing their observations, and after that, mm, will there be any one-to-one interviews?
Yeah, there will be interview with the site staff directly involved in trial.
Okay. So after that,
They will check the site department facilities, like IP will be checked, the storage of the IP.
okay, then what will be the final step?
If there are any deviation, they will ask for clarification. If there are any misunderstandings, they will ask for that, and then they will give the results.
Okay, so finally they will be concluding on that, right? What was their observation during the trial? So the complete narration will be done at the end of the closing interview. Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so now they are done with the site. Now they will go to their offices, right? Then what they are going to do there?
They issue audit report and certificate.
Okay, so the audit report is also known as.
Establish an inspection report.
Okay, anyone, what is the full form of EIR?
Establishment inspection report.
Okay, so finally they will be sending the report. Okay, so let's see what are the do's and don'ts in the inspections. Okay. So inspector should present a form FDA 482 that is also known as notice of inspection. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, so as long as he has not presented the notice of inspection form, will he be allowed to enter the premises for doing an inspection?
No, ma'am.
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
So this is the mandatory document that we expect from the inspector. So when they are coming to the site, they need to carry this form. Then have all subject records organized. So whenever we have any inspections, we make sure that all the essential documents, all the patient's related records are well organized. Yes. So everything should be ready before the inspectors arrive at the site. And we know that all these essential documents should be kept in the room, which is being booked for the purpose of inspections. So only those records that are requested by the inspectors, we should just provide those records. Okay, so no additional records that is not requested should be provided to the inspectors. So it is important to note that only the records that are requested should be provided. Then whatever deficiencies, whatever the comments, concerns that the inspectors are pointing out during the inspection, we make a note of that. Okay. So whenever we are just the inspector is there, they are just pointing out that this thing is not okay. This thing should be like this. These are the deficiencies that they are pointing out. We make sure that we make a note of that. Okay. So any question and entries in the inspector's notes regarding adverse finding. Okay, so we make sure that we just work on those things. Okay, so these are the do's that are mandatory to do whenever we have any inspection. Then clarify or attempt to resolve. So if in case the inspector has any doubts, any questions, so maybe he will be requesting for any additional document if the site is having, or any clarification that the site can provide for the issues, that the problems that they are pointing out. Okay, so in that case, if we have any additional information, if we are going to provide any additional document to the inspector, we need to remember 3 to 5 rule. What is 3 to 5 rule?
If the inspector asks for the any document, it should be given within 3 to 5 minutes, not
Yeah,
more than 5 minutes.
yeah. So if the document is not provided to the inspector within 5 minutes, it will be considered what?
Fabricated document.
Fabricated.
False document.
Fabricated.
Yeah, so that document won't be acceptable, right? So if any document that is being presented after 5 minutes won't be the acceptable document for the inspector, because they will be considering that this document is a false document, this is a fabricated document, this document is being just prepared on the spot. Okay. So if the question seems vague, so if any question that is being asked by the inspector, we are not very clear what he's asking for, and we want more clarification for that, before we answer that question, we make sure that we understand the question completely before we respond to it. If the question is not clear to us, we should not answer that question. We should beg our pardon. We should request them to just clarify it more, or just provide more information what they are exactly looking for before they before we respond to the inspector, because we cannot give any wrong information during inspection. So before we answer any question during the inspection, we make sure that we have understood the question very properly. Okay. So while we are dealing with the inspections, we make sure that we are very polite. Yes, we should behave in a very polite manner. We should behave like a professionals. Okay. And whenever the inspector ask us to be there, we make sure that we are available during the inspection time. Do you get that?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. So object to request for unreasonable information. So during the inspection, if the inspector requests for the unreasonable information, so unreasonable information is the information related to the financial records and home address of the subject. So if the inspector requests for any of the subject's detail, the address of the subject, or if they ask for any financial record. So when we talk about financial record, what comes to your mind? What is your understanding on this? Yes. What type of financial record should not be shared?
Salary statements, ma'am.
Yes, all the salary statements, then
Budget.
budget. Yes. So all these information should not be disclosed with with the inspector. But if the inspector forced to do that, the investigator should ask them to give this in writing. So they want the written request. Okay.
Ma'am, why budget is not sure?
Because
Because
we don't want the inspectors to know what is the exact amount, because inspector is the third party, so we don't want to disclose any finances, how much the PI is getting, site is getting. So we don't want to disclose that. So it's a something confidential between the sponsor, between the site. Yes.
ma'am, that I
And
didn't get this.
the inspector's role is to make sure that the trial is running in a nicer way, following all the protocols, following all the guidelines. Yes, all the regulations are being followed. So we are not compromising on the data integrity. We are not compromising on the patient safety. That is the role for which the inspectors are there, to make sure that the trial is running in a smoother way. Yes, they don't have to deal with the finances. They have nothing to do with the finances. Right? They just need to reassure us that everything looks good, data looks the followed. So that is for which the inspection is there. Yes, so do you feel there is any relevance with the money?
No, ma'am.
Is there any need for the inspector to know why, how much the site is getting, or how much the sponsor is paying to the site? Is there any relation?
Ma'am,
Yes.
ma'am, once you told us that if there are total 5 sites,
Hmm.
and if the 4 sites are asking about the same or the same amount of money, and other side
Mhm.
asking us for more amount, or the asking for the larger amount. So
Mhm.
it's a query, or it's a suspect. It's a
Yeah.
kind of a query arise. So we need to make a audit, or
Yeah.
there should be monitoring.
So that will be audit, and that will be a for cause audit.
Okay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
So, ma'am, none of the financial details. So, even if the subjects are getting any reimbursements and all, even those won't be revealed.
No, reimbursement is fine. So where we know that in the informed consent, also we are talking about the compensation, and to the ethics committee also we are sharing the details that per visit the subject will be getting this. So more towards the personal information, that how much the appraisal is for the study team members. Yes, so the things that are not concerned to actually the finances, so that thing won't be disclosed to the inspectors. Yes.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
So as the once the inspection is over, we make sure that the sponsor should know what was the outcome of the inspection, what was the final outcome. So whether there were some minor findings or just recommendations or major critical findings, so that we need to update to the sponsor. Apart from that, we make sure that whenever the questions are being raised from the inspector ends, we are very polite, we are very cooperative while we are answering those questions, and we make sure that if the things does not seems clear to us, we don't answer them. We don't do the guesswork during the inspection. Before we answer any of the question, we make sure that we are very clear on